New MPs are struggling to set up offices due to security threats and high rents. We're going to read into this exclusive from Sky News, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an exclusive from Sky News with the headline that new MPs are struggling to set up offices due to security threats and high rents. Several MPs tell Sky News that the perceived risks now associated with the job are putting landlords off choosing them as rents. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. Now, this is an interesting... It's just very, very interesting because this actually resonates a lot with whether you like it or not. If this is found to be true, that a lot of MPs, regardless of what political parties they are from, if this is resonating with what Nigel Farage has been saying, and Nigel Farage has said that one of the reasons why he preferred Zoom or than having an office set up like the directory is because of he feels threatened. You can, whether you want to agree or disagree with it, that's his premises here. Now, obviously, a lot of MPs, especially some who have been constituencies and have been in their same constituency for a long time, are kind of got their office set up. They're used to it. They know what they're doing and whatnot. But this is obviously about new MPs. That a lot who are new to the game, and then there's quite then a lot of new MPs. There was quite a major shift over from the last general election. And politics has become more volatile. Let's be very serious. Politics has become more volatile. People are very, very impatient. There's a lot of anger and frustration, as we have discussed here and across, I'm sure, across many of the spectrum. The frustration that people have about society as a whole. People are frustrated about healthcare. People are frustrated about immigration. People are frustrated about crime. People are frustrated about all sorts of things, lack of jobs, all lack of jobs or whatever. There's all sorts of reasons that people are finding themselves frustrated in society. And MPs are politicians who represent constituencies, who speak on behalf of their constituents that are supposed to represent them in Parliament. Now, whether you like the MP or whether they like the politician that you have in your constituency area, whether you like them or not, regardless of whether their political differences is, they are supposed to be there to represent you and represent everyone in your constituency. Now, I know a lot of people feel that a lot of things that what I've said is what's supposed to be, that they are supposed to do their job and represent you and your questions and whatnot. Now, there are some that still do that, and you hear some of those when you hear questions at Prime Minister's Questions, for example, or when you hear them on some certain debates that they have on in the House of Parliament. You hear stories about constituencies, things that constituents have come through. But we're also hearing a lot of people claiming that some stories are being made up as well, allegedly, which I don't see what the benefit of some of them to do. Perhaps may have a political agenda for their own well-being. There are some MPs who are in it not for the sake of obviously wanting to make things better for the constituents, but some of them is with the power to enrich themselves and to empower themselves. Because if you are a politician, if you are an MP, you become a target for influence, for political influence, obviously, as well. And when somebody becomes a so-called political influence of some sorts, especially for especially for those who are considered politicians who are considered on the right, people who are considered themselves on the left or even far left, some of them are extreme. There are extreme far lefts, whether you agree or disagree. They consider them a threat to their society. Now, in any way, shape or form, no MP should feel threatened. No MP should feel concerned about their well-being, security, or anything like that. Now, I have said this before, and I'm going to state this here. I think MPs can still continue to do their jobs, continue to have face-to-face with their constituencies. Sorry, I can't remember what the term is called. Someone will mention it in the comments. They can still have that. What I think should be something that should come out of the public sector person, I know people are going to get mad about this, is I think every single MP should be out of taxpayers' out of MPs' expenditures. Yes, taxpayer money. They should be given a 24/7 security guard everywhere they go. They have a 24/7 security guard, unless of course they go out of the country and if they feel they don't need it, then fine. But in the UK, when they're in their office, when they're on duty, if they're in the House of Parliament, obviously they're not needed there. But out and about, they should all have one. They should have at least somebody watching over them. Whether it's a private security firm, I don't think it should be a police officer, but somebody like a security guard of some sort. No matter who they are, even if they're somebody strong and flexible and they can handle themselves, to protect themselves from the public, and they can still have those conversations with members of the public and whatnot, because the point is that person is there to protect them. So that's kind of my position when it comes to security. Now, as regards to the high rents, well, that's something obviously that the government needs to address. I think there needs to be some kind of if the salaries of the MPs if the money for the salaries or whatever cannot manage to pay out for these offices and rents, then perhaps there needs to be something that we can compensate to allow these offices to be set up so that they can have them. Or maybe if there's somewhere, like if they can have a community hall or something, to allow these to have public engagements with their constituencies, because one thing people must be able to still have is those face-to-face engagements with constituents. I think it's so fundamentally important, and my concern is that because that there are security threats and there are concerns about the well-being and safety of MPs, my concern is that it will be becoming more and more of a case of doing things online, doing things on Zoom, doing things by phone call and email, as opposed to actually having these face-to-face conversations, which can actually make the biggest difference when it comes to dealing with people's problems as an MP. And I think, that while some people may argue that those ways should be the new ways of doing things, I still think those face-to-face interactions work, and especially the older people in society who some cannot use technology. And again, I know people will make the argument that some of them should learn to use this technology, but I still think these offices matter. I still think people should have a place to go where they need to speak to their MP if they've sent them emails or whatnot and they're not getting responses, or whether they've tweeted at them on social media or something and they're not getting the help that they need about a certain situation or an issue in their constituents, in their constituency, and their MP is not responding. They need to be able to go somewhere to go to. That is why the office is really, really important. So how you get past this barrier of high rents, I don't really have a straightforward answer. If some people have a better answer, please let me know down in the comments below. But this is obviously the high rents are obviously at the fault of, guess what, the Conservatives and 14 years of the mess that they left us in. So let's read a bit more into this, you guys. So newly elected MPs are struggling to set up offices in their constituencies due to fears for their safety and spiralling rents, Sky News has learned. Several MPs who spoke to Sky News said they believe that landlords were becoming increasingly reluctant to have them as tenants due to perceived risks that came with the job, which one likened to the debanking row that engulfed Nigel Farage last year. The combination of rising rents and increased security requirements has meant that some MPs have felt unable to have constituency offices on high streets and in buildings with shop windows, where they are visible and easily accessible to the public. And in some cases, they have received security advice recommending that they do not have very visible offices due to the need for enhanced protection. I am going to have to say I agree with this assessment. As much as I would want them to have a bit more openness with public, I totally understand the security concerns there. One MP said they were currently subletting a shop front of their constituency office while they look for somewhere more suitable long-term because the safety was not up to standard. Because budgets for renting are so tight and landlords are so scared of controversy, MPs are now struggling to be in their communities, they told Sky News. There is a real conflict that if you want to appeal to your constituents, but some people want to work for you and do casework are very mindful that some of the challenges of being in an open shop window and the threats that exist. Ultimately, you can go and rent somewhere, but that may not be appropriate for the work they are trying to do. The one compromise you can make for the safety and security of your people. MP safety has been a long-standing cause for concerns, with fears heightening since the murders of Joe Cox and Sir David Amos in 2016 and 2021 respectively. And last year, the issue was thrust into the spotlight after Sir Lindsay Hoyle, the Commons speaker, admitted that fears over the safety of MPs had been a factor in his decision-making in the contentious vote for the war over the war in Gaza. Jo Stevens, now the Welsh Secretary, had her constituency office in Cardiff vandalised following the vote, with the words "murderer" sprayed on the walls. Yes, that's absolutely terrible. And Mike Freed, the former Conservative MP for Finchley and Golders Green, stood down the election following an arson attack on his office in 2023. Yeah, this one I was very critical of. I said that, regardless of whatever you think about I said in the video when I covered it at the time, regardless of what you think about the Conservative Party, there's no excuses. There's no, you're not going to fix anything by lashing out in these kind of ways on them. Yes, you don't have to like what they're doing. You don't have to agree with some of the policies and controversies, whether what they voted on. Absolutely. But doesn't give you the right to try and burn their building down, try to burn them alive. It's just no. In October, the House and Commons agreed to set up the Speaker's Conference with a new committee chaired by Sir Lindsay to discuss the issues of MP safety and the effectiveness of the response to the threats they face. We are less visible when trust is already low. A Labour MP said there is now a nervousness among landlords that MPs may prove to be risky clients, and there was concern potential damage to their buildings may not be covered by insurance. And they said the issue combined meant the nature of the job was now changing. People now want to be in big closed-off office blocks rather than high street locations that people can pop into. It's almost similar to the debanking scandal they added, referring to how some banks have refused to open bank accounts for some holders that could be deemed to pose a risk for the bank's reputation. Because of security reasons, we've got a new generation of MPs that are far less visible at a time when they're not already a lot of trust in politics and politicians, and we don't know yet what the consequences will be, the MP added. Yeah, there needs, where these offices are going to be, the idea of putting the days of obviously having a clear open shop of where your MP is, maybe it's not a good idea nowadays, and somewhere a bit more. And maybe somewhere I've got this idea from my mindset. I'm thinking, obviously every area is different, but my mindset would be like a community hub center because obviously some places where are public libraries and certain things closed down, and a lot of things have been put into one building, like a community hub of some sort in a town or a village somewhere, and you would have an office specifically for your MP to be in, maybe something like that. And then you could just put the address of that on your website, online of where people want to come and see him, and then you can highlight of when I'll be available and all this kind of stuff, something like that. In a building where there's lots of activity and motion, rather than just having your own shop or whatever that they used to have. Maybe something like that should be of some interest. It's just an idea I'm putting out there. For MPs who do not want to rent an office on a high street, particularly in and around London, the rise in rents have made it near impossible to find ones that offer value for money. Budgets for renting out constituencies offices are set by the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority, the IPSA, which also decides MPs' pay. For the financial year 2024-2025, IPSA's budget for the entire office costs extending beyond rent was 36,500 for London and 33,020 for non-London MPs. Yeah, it's going to cost. It costs more, unfortunately, for London, which is, we know what the problem there is. One Labour MP in the new constituency in the capital said IPSA's offices in finding service had struggled to find anything affordable in their area, forcing them to share a neighbourhood in MP's office in the short term. That's really bad. Paul Collott, the Liberal Democrat MP for Wimbledon, told Sky News that he was currently using a party campaign office while he looked for a more suitable one for constituency work. Clearly, we want something that is accessible to the public, but the high street is not a cheap place to rent, he said, and the offices there are just unaffordable and aren't suitable. And this is why we have on the high street, a lot of shops that just remain shut, because we have people who have extraordinary prices for them. And something needs to be done to change that format. As otherwise, it's another thing as well in terms of businesses, because lots of places are shut off shops because people won't rent them out, won't take them. On top of the office's cost budget provided by IPSA, MPs also have a separate budget for security costs, which is now the responsibility for the House and Commons. For the financial year 2022-2023, when IPSA still controlled the security cost budget, the total amount spent on security assistance to MPs was 3.3 million. Sky News understands that the IPSA has been made aware of a couple of instances where landlords have withdrawn offers of rent after learning the prospective tenant was an MP. An IPSA spokesperson told Sky News, "We support MPs with finding suitable constituency officers, including offering advice on how to secure properties which fit within their budgets. Some of the things we encourage MPs to consider include looking into more affordable spaces away from the high street, opting to hire venues for engagement with constituencies, consider service offices, renting and subletting from local parties." I like that idea. That's some ideas that could work there. We review budgets every year and take into account economic indicators and market information, as well as available information on commercial rents. And then we make recommendations for any adjustments to the budgets which are considered by our board. A House of Commons spokesperson said, "The ability for MPs to perform their parliamentary duties safely, both on and off the estate, is fundamental to our democracy." 100% agree. Parliamentary Security Department, working closely with the police, offer all MPs a wide range of security measures of those who offer surgeries in their constituencies. That's the word. Helping to ensure a safe working environment. We do not comment on individual MP security arrangements or advice because we would not want to wish to compromise the safety of MPs, but parliamentary staff or members of the public, but these are kept under continuous reviews. Yeah, those last three statements, obviously, by the House of Commons spokesperson, I agree pretty much wholeheartedly about the concerns about them, and obviously and security arrangements and whatnot. I really do think that every single MP should have a 24/7 security guard of some sort, or something along those lines, because the security and well-being, but they can still be allowed to do their job, they do their duty. But this is just ensuring that their MPs are protected, and they are safe and secure. And it gives them that extra assurances, of them by their side. I really do think it's something that should be part of the. I think it should be something that should be strongly considered. Yes, I can understand people complaining. It's just like, we do cost taxpayer money. It's coming out of taxpayer money. Yeah, we got taxpayer money. What about cost of living crisis? Yeah. But if your MP gets stabbed or murdered, you're not going to have someone in your constituency, are you? I know it's very, very unlikely, but it can happen, and the safety and well-being of all politicians really, really does matter. Yes, I understand the rhetoric of all politicians are liars, all politicians are the same, Tory Labour's two cheeks are the same backside. Yeah, I get all that. Yeah, but they're still human beings, they're still lives, and we need to protect them because they play a very important role. Do some of them take their role seriously? No, of course they don't. Which is, that's something obviously that we need to challenge of. That if you have a problem with an MP, then obviously you need to campaign against them to get them out if you want them on that. And yes, I know the system is rigged anyway, but I've made the point quite clear. I do think, that's the safety, well-being of them, but surgeries need to happen. I think they're very, very fundamentally important, and they need to happen in some way, shape, or form. And Nigel Farage as well, like get his security sorted so he can have his surgeries as well. He's claimed to have surgeries, but how much of he has is obviously speculation as well. But what do you guys honestly think? What do you guys think about MPs struggling to set up offices to have their surgeries, the security threats that they claim to have, the high rents that they have to do, and landlords being put off by having them because they are MPs? Let me know your thoughts about all this and more down in the comment section below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button, we greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Or you can join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.